Well, welcome ladies and gentlemen, viewers. Today we're going to do a bit of a run-in ride. I'm going to show you the way I like to run in motorcycles. Vary the revs, go through the gears and just do that over and over and over and over again. It's a slow way to run things in, but I think I believe it's the best way to do it. You can spend like an hour or two on a motorcycle and not travel a lot distance-wise. And this is where people fall into a trap. In my case, I've got to get 800 kilometres of distance covered before the bikes run in. But that doesn't mean I just do 800 kilometres straight on one trip. That means I do a lot of riding around and going through the gears, and so obviously around town is going to be the best way to do that, because you're going up gears, down gears, you're stuck in traffic, so the bike's getting hot and the bike's just getting a really good workout. But I like to vary it a little bit, so a lot will be around town and then we'll go out of the town a little bit into the countryside, then back into town again, and a little bit into the countryside. So I'm going to leave the camera rolling and we'll keep going till the camera stops. Other things we'll talk about today on the ride are how am I getting on with the bike? What little changes, what little adjustments have I made? And what are my thoughts of the bike overall? One of the things that we'll talk about while we're sitting here waiting for the lights to change is what's the chief dark horse like around town? As I've been doing so much city riding, and I have to say it's very good. Past that truck. Yeah, I find it's really nicely balanced for around town. I can just cruise around at walking pace, just coming up to a set of lights, for instance, and you're behind a line of traffic. You can just roll up and just putt along at about 5 k's an hour at walking pace. And the bike's just really nicely balanced, and then you just put your foot down when you come to a stop. So yeah, I'm finding it to be very good around town, no problems at all. Out on the highway, it's great, especially with this screen. Just keeps all the air pressure off my body. Just on the screen, look at all these potholes. They're just everywhere. So we've just had so much rain, all the roads have opened up, and so if you see me weaving and ducking, and I'm avoiding rim busting potholes. So this screen's working great just to keep the air pressure off my body, but I do get turbulence off the screen. It's smooth off the leading edge, but as it gets closer to my helmet I get more and more turbulence. Now most times, if the wind's just light or moderate, I'd call it like a flutter on my helmet. But if the wind's really strong, then it becomes buffeting. But it doesn't push my head around. It's just like just a turbulent wind just hitting against my helmet. Now, it does get unpleasant. I'm not going to lie. It does get unpleasant in really high headwinds. But for most times, it's not an issue for me. It's not bothering me. I think if I was going to go on a really long trip or do a lot of long miles, I would put the bigger screen from the Super Chief Limited on, and that's the beauty of what I've got here with this system. It's got the quick release setup, so I can just swap out one screen with another anytime I like, basically. huge pothole there. But, you know, around town is ideal. I'm going through the gears, I'm using the revs, and the reason why you want to do that is because everything has to mesh in. The pistons have to sort of wear into the bores, the gears have to sort of mesh together, everything's new, and just the actual action of all the components meshing in together helps them mesh in together, and also just knocks off any little rough edges and gets the bike run in. And if you do, say, okay, in my case I've got to do 800 kilometres, and I could just go for a 4-hour ride one way and come back 4 hours. There's my, basically on the highway, 800 kilometres done. But the engine will have been working, but most of the time it will be at a set revs. It's not varying the revs at all, really. You can go up and down the gears, like from 6 down to 5th, just to pick up the revs a bit, but then you're really only revving the engine in 2 places rather than all the way through the rev range. And the other thing is your gearbox is not being worked. Other than 5th and 6th, 1, 2, 3, 4 are not being worked. So if you did that, they then do the first service at 800 kilometres, drop the oil out, and then, over the next few thousand kilometres, then you start bedding your gearbox in and wearing your gearbox in. And after 1,000, 2,000 Ks, you've got a gearbox full of very fine shavings and muck that should have come out in the first service. So just riding around town, it takes a lot longer, but this bike is going to be beautifully run in once I'm finished. I've just clicked over 400 kilometres, which means I'm in the range now. I think it was up to 150 from memory. From 0 to 150 was I could use a third throttle. I'm now in a range where I can use half throttle, which is up to 485 Ks. And once a bike's travelled over 485, I can start using 3/4 throttle until the first service. After the first service, I can use full throttle. Now, every bike's going to be different. So the first thing I do when I buy a new motorcycle is I get the manual and I scan through it from front to back, and I look to see what is the correct way to run in that particular motorcycle. And every motorcycle manufacturer is going to have their own specific instructions for each bike. They are going to be along the lines of what I'm doing here, but you really want to read your manual. And the other thing I do is I make a heap of notes from the manual going from cover to cover, and I keep a little document file on my phone which has things like front tyre pressure, rear tyre pressure, suspension settings, how to set up your Bluetooth, all sorts of things, when the services are due, etc, etc. And I'll show you what that document looks like. And I just keep that on my phone because it's just full of stuff that I will find useful down the track when I don't actually have the manual with me. The road looks wet up here. I might take a left because I washed the bike not long ago. I'm not sure why the road's all wet and muddy. They must be wetting down the road for some reason. These guys. Great. I'm glad I came this way. I've purposely been waiting for the roads to dry out. So if you want to run your motorcycle in properly, the first place you should go is the manual. It'll tell you exactly what you need to know, and follow those instructions to the letter. That's what I would do if you want the best chance of having trouble-free motoring on your motorcycle. That applies to cars as well, actually.
And don't forget to like and subscribe my videos. Yeah.